So I made quite a few poses in 2025 and I wanted to take this video to go through all of them and maybe even rank them. Maybe not. I originally wanted to rank them as well, but no, I think I'm just gonna comment it and maybe some of them I will rank, we'll see. But starting off with the first pose of the year, I'm not too happy with the balloons. I'm proud of them. It looks okay in the screenshot, but I think I posted a video on when I made them or not how I made them, but I made a video about making them. Does that make sense? Wow, I'm off to a good start. Um, anyways, I had trouble with the textures because some of the balloons were darker than the others. It looks fine here, but it also doesn't, it doesn't really look like balloons. Also, the strings are missing and I don't know, I still like the look of that. I like the composition. By the way, I also have some screenshots with fireworks and some photos with fireworks. I took so many screenshots. Also some without a 2025. Yeah, I'm actually very happy with this pose. I think it's cool. I like the light and the darks and the contrast. I really like this pose. I think if I would do it again, I might bend her a little bit more backwards. That she's not too straight up, if that makes sense. But I like the overall composition of this pose and also with the lamp in the background and the colors. I don't know, I like the screenshot. I might also, talk about the screenshots and the finished image and not just the pose. Moving on to like the first pose pack, I guess. This is like one of the poses for the getting ready pose pack, and this is actually based on a comment. I think someone commented to make like a shower scene, and I think I might have had a few ideas. And anyways, this kind of turned into this getting ready pose pack. And I don't know, I like how this turned out. But this is not my favorite screenshot. Maybe I should rank them. I don't know, I would definitely rank this one lower. I think this would be more like a 9 out of 10. Well, this maybe, am I ranking? We'll see. And this more, I don't know, like a 3 or 4. I like the idea of the pose, it's cool. You can't really get a use out of that. Maybe for storytelling, I don't know if you have kind of like a picture love story. What are these called? I don't know. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's okay, I guess. Not my favorite, not my least favorite, I think. I do like how it turned out, but I with the bathroom and the branch, I don't know. Let's move on. This one, I like this this was one of the posing townies poses, and I like the idea. I also like if you take like a portrait of her and have it somewhere in a building with all, to have photos of all the professors. I think this could be a good idea. I think in the video I mentioned something that I don't know who the professors are. You can look that, it's documented somewhere on the internet. And you can also figure it out in the game, I guess. But yeah, maybe I should do that at some point, I should also continue the posing townie series. I haven't really worked on that lately, maybe next year. We'll see, because I have so much going on and so much I want to do, and too little time, I guess. Yeah, I remember struggling with the lags, which you can't see here, but maybe in this screenshot. So it's okay. I also like I don't like I like the idea of the pose. Especially the closer up pose. I do think it looks okay, but there's not really much contrast here with the gray dress and also like the gray background. There's not that much contrast. Editing me here, I was looking for a specific screenshot and I just realized that I didn't make this pose this year. I made it in July of last year, so 2024. This one, I don't know. I like the idea. I think it fits them to be like also the way Lily is posing. It's kind of like it gives power couple to me, especially also with the podium. But I don't know, I think it's just very impersonal. I don't really play with them. It's not like a family pose or something. It's okay, I guess. This one I like. But again, I think what I don't really like about the screenshot is just the lack of contrast. If you zoom out or if you have it in a smaller scale, she doesn't really stand out that well because of the bookshelves and all the couch. It's just red and black, and so there's not too much contrast. She doesn't. I don't know, I feel like it's kind of all washed together, if that makes sense. This actually was just a tutorial pose. I'm still gonna count it, I guess. And it's a simple pose, but it was just to kind of give like a basic idea how to make poses, and wasn't to be something fancy. I think if I would put a lot more effort, I could have put in a bit more effort to make it look better, but I think that's okay. I think if I really needed this pose for an in-game screenshot or an in-game photo for whatever reason, I might tweak it a bit further. But the only purpose was to show how to make poses, so, and I think for that it's okay. This one I actually really like. I don't know, it's also like this is also part of the getting ready pose pack, and it's not really much use of it, but I like I don't know, I think the way her arms are and how chill, and I don't know, that's just the in the moment aspect of this one. I know the shower one was also like an in the moment, because it's kind of like an in the moment pose pack, but I don't know, I like this one better. And I also reused it, or sort of reused it later, or very recently actually. I did tweak it a little bit for the other pose, but I did use it as a base for, again, for another pose. This is also the getting ready pose pack. No idea for what you might need it, but I kind of like it. Also, I was really surprised on how big those toothbrushes are. I think I mentioned that in the video, and I looked it up in game how it looked, because to be honest, my Sims usually don't brush their teeth. They might do it to, you know, to kind of ramp up their hygiene, but I also let them, I don't know, I think if I really need to improve their hygiene without them taking a shower or bath, I might just let them wash their hands instead of brushing their teeth, unless it's kind of like for storytelling, if it fits. I remember in the Growing Together series, there was like one part where Luna brushes her teeth before going to bed because she was so smelly, so that was the only reason. And it kind of fit like before, because it was kind of like a storytelling moment in that case. I could have, if she had better hygiene, I wouldn't have done it. But yeah, I'm rambling on about brushing their teeth, or about this pose. That's actually very, I don't know, it's a very basic pose that you might not ever need, I guess. This pose I really, really like. Again, not sure if you need it, but I think if you had like a gamer sim, this could be fun to have like a gaming or gaming pose or gaming picture of them in their office. I think I also wanted to make a few more, because I could also like the idea of her like sitting and, you know, maybe in a living chair or something like that. Or I think I also wanted to have her feet up. Never ended up making more of those. I might at some point maybe. This was actually just inspired by this kit. I like the kit, by the way. I have used the shelf at least once. I think a few times. I'm not sure if I have used it in one of my current saves. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But especially the sofas. I don't know, I don't really like myself for the sofas, and I really like this. So those are my go-to, or one of my go-to sofas right now. I also like the living chair that you see in the background. No, I'm talking about the kit and not the pose. I don't know, the pose is simple. I've never used it again. I just used it for this video, I guess. But it could be also interesting for storytelling, but there's nothing too fancy about it. I think especially with these types of poses, it's more like for storytelling and less for taking pictures, I guess. Yeah, with this pose, it's kind of sad that this is the only pose I made for this save file this year, because I didn't continue playing with them, because I thought that was an interesting stop to that let's play, or that video series. I don't know, because I wanted to continue, and I might continue at some point playing with her son, but when I ended this, I didn't have the life and death pack, and so I don't know, it made kind of sense to end it there, and maybe at some point pick it up when maybe her son Casey is already grown up. He's a teen right now, but maybe once he's a young adult, or maybe even an adult, or maybe already working in his career, I don't know yet. But yeah, that kind of screwed up my play. I'm not even sure if I played that this year or maybe even last year, but the pose I apparently made this year. Oh, this was actually based on a scene from, I think, from The Good Doctor, from the season 4 finale, when they say goodbye. And to be honest, I was thinking about making, and I might still do that at some point, but again, it's more like a storytelling post pack, but I was thinking of making like a breakup post pack, where they're also like going to couples counseling, and to have like poses like this where they're sad and having like serious discussion poses. where they are actually talking, or someone being sad. I also wanted, when Love Struck came out, I also wanted to make a post with the, this is so dumb, with the bonus items, you know, where the sim is kind of hugging that plushie. I could use any other plushie for that as well. But yeah, I still might make a breakup post pack at some point. But I don't know, I like that. But this could also be like something, you know, them just being sad about something else. Do they even have, can it be like a serious, I don't know, it seems like they're sad about something. I mean, in the scene they are sad that I have to say goodbye. But also, well, because about those two Sims, so they are my Sims from a video series, and that's based on this break. First of all, on the market magnet aspiration from Home Chef Hustle, but also one of the scenarios, the breakup and staying, living together. I don't know what it's called. And so because of that, I wanted them to break up but keep living together and kind of find their way. Is that important? Probably not. I'm not, again, I'm no longer talking about the videos. I'm just rambling on. But so I wanted them to break up, and then I think in the second part or so they broke up, and there's no serious breakup interaction, so they're just chatting happily and chit-chatting, and then break up. And so it would have been nice to have something more serious like this and have a serious conversation, and to have at least poses like that to tell that story and to bring the emotions across that the game actually doesn't. So that's Alina and Caden, I think. Those are, I don't think I've actually talked about, I've made quite a few poses of her and her families, and also videos about them. By the way, I also counted, I can talk about that later at the end of the videos, but I counted all the poses. For this family, I made the most, I guess. This is one of the save files, or one of my save files, and it's on long lifespan, so a lot happens. And yeah, so she kind of got remarried, and they had another kid, and that's, I think, on their baby moon. But actually, I just think I wanted to work on her aspiration, and she had to sleep in a tent, and so I think I let them go to outdoor retreat. And I don't know, I liked having a cute picture of them. Same with this pose. You know, just taking an adorable picture of them that they can hang up, and then you don't need the picture as soon as you move out with the kids, because why would her daughter have their picture up? This is also one of the Posing Townies poses. I don't know. It's cute. It's I don't know what to say about them. I think in this case I also don't really like the screenshot. I mean, I like that it's a little bit lighter in that one corner on the right. But it's kind of darkish and also not a lot of contrast. It's not my favorite. Ooh, I like this one. I think this is also one of the getting ready poses. Again, not really much contrast because of all the red and black, but I kind of like the idea, and I struggled a lot with this hand. This took me so long to figure out the hand, and I also said that in the video, you know, of me making the pose. But I like his, you know, his left hand, how he's kind of like gently stroking, caressing. Is that how you say that? Her arm, I don't know, and the kiss on her head. I don't know, I think it's cute. This is also, I think that's the fifth and last pose of the Getting Ready pose pack. It's cute, but also nothing too special, I guess. Oh, is that? No, I think that's them on their wedding preparations. I don't know, but here you can see Alina with her. Oh, there she had her son, I guess. Oh, I don't think they were married in the other screenshot. I don't know, because I think here they are just getting some wedding preparations done. And I don't know, that's kind of like when I kind of play, and then in the middle of gameplay I'm like, oh, it would be so sweet to have a family photo or have a photo of them. And so I pause my game, or I quit the game, go into Blender, make the pose, or sometimes I'm even save and like come back to that later, but I often don't do that. So that's why I might just interrupt the gameplay to make the pose, and immediately, because I know that I might not end up doing the post later on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But yeah, so I don't know, when I see like a good opportunity for a photo, I just want to take either note or immediately do that, so that I don't forget later, or that I don't, because at some point you're like, no, I don't need it anymore, because now in this save file I wouldn't need this pose anymore. This pose, I think I had the idea, this is also one of the Posing Townies poses. When making the poses for Posing Townies, I look across the world if there are good locations, and there definitely are, but it didn't really fit because it was daylight, and I think maybe at night, I don't know, maybe at night it would be too dark, but it's also too dark in here. There's even less contrast than with Bella, and also the Bella and Mortimer poses. I don't know, it's just, when you see that as a thumbnail, it just looks black. So I don't know. I like the idea. I originally also wanted him to have his arm or his hand on the fireplace, and I realized the fireplace was way too big for that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that it's too dark. Maybe if it was outside, I think the statues might be also. So maybe I should try that. But this is just. I don't know. I hate that there's not that much contrast, but I like the pose for him because it's like very. I don't know. I think it's elegant and simple. And I like that he's resting his hand, but it's just the overall picture I don't like, or not as much. This one I like way better because here you can see it's light. There's also, I mean, there's a lot of brown colors, but also like the greener, so I do think there's a bit more contrast. And this one I like way better. This is not one of my favorites, but this is definitely one of the posing townies poses that I actually like. But I think that's cute. The dynamic fits. I don't know. I think this is a better one. Oh, and here are Casey and Zeke again. I had the plan to have like a 2025 through the year post pack where we have, and the first one, you know, the Happy New Year kiss was meant to be like the first one, and then, you know, for specific times of the year, so like having the Happy New Year, then Valentine's Day, so this was like the Love Day, Valentine's Day pose of that, but also Easter, summer, Spooky Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and, you know, certain maybe first day back prom, first day back at school, or back at school, back at school poses, and have like those specific moments through the year. That's the last pose of them I did, I think. Yeah, so that didn't really work out. But yeah, I still have some other, I mean, I obviously did make other like Christmas and also Spooky Day poses and summer poses, but not meant as this pose pack. But I still like that. I don't know, I like that picture. Oh, and here you can see Alina and Kaden at the wedding. Very simple. I think I did hang up this picture as well as the other ones in their house. Yeah, I don't know. You have one with her older two kids, and with their kid. Then one with just the baby, because I mean maybe the teens just didn't want to pose anymore, and then obviously one with just the two of them. And I like this one. I often don't have female Sims with short hair. I really like it on her, so I really should do that more often. I'm also kind of starting to use, or not starting, but you know, I also don't often, I don't often use glasses, so it's also fun to use that just because I see his glasses. And I like how she's leaning a little bit back, and how, I don't know, I like this one. This is also a posing townies pose, and here, I hate posing crossed arms because they are a bit tricky, but here it worked out well, I guess, because you could also kind of cheat with the thickness of the jacket. And I think that's a nice pose. There's nothing standing out to me where I'm like, oh, that's bad. Maybe what's his name, Lucas's hand? I don't know, maybe like small details, but I do like how that looks. I like that one. That's based on that one painting of Bob Pancakes, and you know, there's a painting where he's actually posing like that, so I wanted to recreate the pose. I do think it's fun. I think it's a funny pose. Would you ever use it? Probably not, but I think it's a fun screenshot, and I do like the screenshot. Ah, look, that's Noelle and her now husband, or still husband. I'm not quite sure if they will break up and get a divorce or not. We'll see. But yeah, she's Alina's daughter, so from that long legacy save. And at this point, or currently, I think she's already an adult, yeah, because she's in a midlife crisis and wants to get a divorce as, you know, as part of the midlife crisis. And yeah, they have 3 beautiful kids. The kids are almost teenagers. Let's see if they're gonna age up in 2025 or next year. My plan is to have them age up this year to play either tomorrow or the day after. We'll see. Or maybe not, because I'm not mentioning this in this video, so maybe I should stop rambling on about that. But I do like this. I am not really talking much about the poses, I think, and more about the game and the save files. But I do like this one. I think they might look in different directions. I'm not sure. That's a cute pose. And this is also very, here I think they are looking at the same direction. Also, seeing this, I'm not sure. I must have changed it and tweaked it, because I think that pose was based on a pose for Jaden and Orion, so from another save file. and I just tweaked it so that it fits them because they just have different body types. But it looks sweet. Would have made more sense if there were other Sims in the background. The screenshot might have been slightly better, but I still think it's a cool photo, and I think they also had that in their home. This is one, by the way, also one of the posing townie poses, but this is one of my favorites, especially from the posing townie poses. I think it might be my favorite posing townie pose. I don't know, I think it's cool with the background and how chill he's just standing or leaning against the lamp. I don't know, I think it's a fun pose. I'm not sure if that's the best screenshot, but especially the in-game photos, I really like them. It's so cool, it's so fun. The light, I don't know, maybe not the contrast, but I don't know, like with the skyline in the back. I don't know, I think this is a really cool pose. This I also think is a cool pose, but also from posing townies, but not my favorite. But it does look nice, I guess. And that's the first one of the growing together poses. Orion was actually also meant to look towards the camera, but because I apparently hit the eye bones, they weren't affected when setting the keyframe, so that's why she keeps looking straight. But I think it's fine because she's an infant, and so you could pretend that Atlas, as he's a child, he knows how to take a photo and how to look at the camera, but Orion, maybe someone's in the back, you could pretend someone's in the back playing with keys or something or make her smile and giggle, and so she's looking to that person who tries to make her smile, and that's why she's not looking at the camera. So I think that still makes sense. It's still an adorable photo, and I think it's completely fine that she doesn't look towards the camera. I think there might be a few more where the kids aren't looking towards the camera, but I think, and it's also tricky to get Sims to look all at especially with larger group poses, to look them, because the camera in Blender is positioned differently than the one in game, so it is tricky to kind of match the views or the eyes, but most of the time it's fine, I guess. That's the second one. The one thing that bothers me about this pose is his hand. Well, if you're looking toward straight to him, or it's the left hand, but it's his right hand. I don't know, it looks unnatural and weird. I think hers looks better. But this is also like by the way, I have this pose pack in my game, because I think these poses are actually kind of fun to reuse and also change, but also use them as they are in game. When I'm like, when my Sims are hanging out with someone or randomly run into someone, and that I can just take photos with someone, because kids, I don't know, I think they are more versatile and you can use them for multiple Sims. But with adults, because their body types are so different, I mean, here again with the clothing, it might not fit or it might clip a bit, even when you use them with other Sims or other outfits, but I think it's fine. And so I do like having these in my game so that I can just, if there's a moment I'm like, oh, there are two kids, it would be so nice to take a photo of them, I can just use them. And so this are kind of like good used poses, or poses that you can use very easily and well, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm bringing my point across well here. This, again, this is a nice pose, but this one I wouldn't use as much, or I actually haven't used it at all, besides for them. Because it's more like not like in the moment, like they're hanging out at the backyard, you would actually need to be like, hey, let's take a photo, because they usually don't really have the bar stool there. So it's more, I think if you have like you can still use it for other save files, but I don't know, I think I'm less likely to use this than the ones where they're all standing. Ooh, this is also one of the posing townie poses, and also one that I like. Again, maybe not the best contrast, but because of the t-shirt and the trees in the back, but I do like how this looks. And this is also one of the growing up together poses, but I don't know, again, this is also one that you might not use that often. I like this. I like how she's now standing behind her, and how how those two are interacting, with Sophia holding like Elsa's hand. I think it's cute. But also one that I haven't used in my save file yet. This, on the other hand, is one that I have used in my save file, especially I think the one with a long lifespan. I have used this one at least once in one of my save files, maybe even multiple times. I think this is a fun pose to, if you have kids like hanging out together and you just want to take a quick photo. And this saves me the time of, actually making a new pose. And also these poses of them standing together. I also reused it for another pose very recently, but you know, especially when they're just standing together like this, so simple. They are, all look very similar and all kind of like the same. And so those are very generic poses, but I don't know, I like having them in the game and just to randomly take a photo of the Sims looking at the camera. This is also a fun pose, but I'm not sure if I've used it. I might have reused it. Does that make sense? So I have tweaked it and made a new pose based on this one, I think. Or at least of one of them, I think with, what's her name? Luna is her last name. The right Sim. Also growing up together. These are, I think, all growing up together poses. I don't know, it's fine. I haven't used this one yet, but I don't know, it's kind of cute how she's hugging her. I think it's an adorable pose. It just didn't have the, I don't know, the opportunity to use that again. Maybe I could use it with the long lifespan once she's a teen with Vega. We'll see. Ooh, that's also a fun pose. I might have also used those poses to create new ones, so that I used some of them as a base, but I'm not sure. But I think it's a fun pose. It's also a fun group pose. Yeah. This, I'm not sure if I use him, but again, same thing. It's a very generic pose that you can use for every, you know, that you can easily use for different save files and different Sims. But I think I also used them to make a new one, I think. This one I also used for other save files, or, you know, where I'm used it as a base for a new pose, and it looks very similar to this, where I'm just kind of compiling different poses and make them and mixing them up and turning them into one new one. So you might see poses that look very similar to each other. Oh, that's very adorable. Not sure if no, I haven't used that one yet either, but I think it's adorable. This I have used in one of my save files. And also very adorable photo, screenshot, pose. That's what I wanted to say. Very adorable pose. I don't know, it's very cute. And I also did like a older version, also for the first one, because I also had the idea it would be so fun to have like this idea was actually not mine. It's based on a comment, because someone commented, and I'm not sure if I understood the comment correctly, but I don't know. I like the idea that the Sims recreate their older, you know, their photos as they get older, to recreate their childhood photos. This is also like a cute pose with the friends. So this pose pack doesn't really have only sibling poses, as you could see, but also friendship poses, kind of like a mix, and also of different ages. Haven't used that. Haven't really used most of the poses, by the way. Oh, very adorable. Not sure if I have used that. I should have. Oh, my Sims have twins. This could have been adorable. Why didn't I think of that? Oh, that's also that also could have been nice with the twins in there. I think they might have had that rocking chair. Why didn't I do that? Missed opportunity. Damn. Okay, so that's not the growing together. That's actually Tessa. So the Sim with whom I play the Posing Townie series, whatever. And she randomly got engaged to Vlad. Yeah, I think that's a fun pose. Again, maybe not much contrast in this photo, but I think it's fun. And I also like, you know, the dynamic of her pose, that her arm isn't really straight, how she's bent a little bit. I don't know. I think that's cool. This is also a Posing Townie pose. I think I had issues with the pictures because I like having the photos, also in-game photos. And I think I might have an issue. I think of the photos turning black or something. I had to redo that, and the difficult part about that was that you can see they're standing on a rock, and posing on rocks can be tricky. I like the results. I really like how they look, and also really like this pose with the background and also them standing on the rock. But it's tricky to position them correctly where they are not off, you know, where it makes sense, where they are not floating really. So it's a bit tedious because you do have to replace the teleporter. So they're not as easy, like just standing together on the ground, if that makes sense. This is also a Posing Townie pose. Here they're not posing with a rock, but with a fence, which I also like to do. Yeah, I think it's a nice family photo. I like how colorful and bright that one is. Ooh, that's when there's an empty class. But that's the Tattoo pose pack. Did I actually upload the pose pack? I don't know. But I like the idea of Noelle and Bradford, her then boyfriend, now husband, maybe in the future ex-husband, and then husband again, or again husband. I'm not even sure if that works because he's also married to Stacy. I'm drifting off right now. I'm continue to ramble on. Yeah, but I like the idea of having like different poses of them getting dedicated tattoos. I also want they should get new tattoos. Maybe they haven't gotten any new ones recently. But yeah, so I have one of her. I think the next one might be, yeah, that's another pose. But there are 5 poses altogether. But I'm gonna continue talking about that once we are with the other poses. Let's keep going. That's like the first one of the exploring Nordhaven poses. And here you can see again, posing on the rock. It does look cool though. Also, you know, if you look at the poses from behind and from different angles, when you also see the water, I think that's a really fun pose. I really like that one. This one I also really liked, and I think I did struggle a little bit to get it. Or not, I'm not sure if I even struggled, but I had like an idea. And I don't know. I mentioned that in the video, I think. I think I also made a video of like, hey, I think it was like, should I keep the leg up or down? But I like how this looks. I think it's a fun pose, especially with the sunset. Oh, okay, that's not the Nordhaven poses. But I think because someone said something about, you know, being excited about the pack because of the movie Ghost. And then I rewatched Ghost because of the pottery scene to use it as a base for this one. And I made another one later on. This is another exploring Nordhaven pose. And I like that because the worlds come with so many great spots to make poses. I think also Moonwood Mill. Is that what the world is called? The Werewolves Town world. I think this one has so many amazing places to make poses, and I think that's also what inspired me to make poses in the world or out in the world and not just on lots. Because there's this beautiful waterfall, which I don't think I ever finished this pose. But I don't know, I think it's fun having the Sims pose around the world and discover the world and see what cool spots there are. And so I don't know, I think it's cool how she's sitting there. I also like how it's lit up, and I don't know, I think this is a fun pose. I might have used the Dustin, what's his name, celebrity pose, you know, my favorites of the posing Tony poses, for this one as a base and then slightly tweaked it. Yeah, I think I crossed her arms so that it's not exactly the same. But you can see how I'm reusing and just tweaking the poses to make them slightly different. So that's one of those examples, I guess, or one of those poses. This is also exploring Nordhaven. In this case, it's the bridge. And this is the only one where I actually used someone else than Tessa. And I used Gerd and what's her name? Galanda? Not sure right now. But I think it's cute to have them pose together like that. They're adorable. I think that's a very adorable pose. Although I'm not sure if he's looking at the camera. This is also a nice pose of her sitting at the fountain, also exploring townies, exploring Nordhaven. And another fence pose. I also really like this one. I think I might have cheated the weather for this screenshot, but I think it's really cool how this looks. And here you can also see I don't know, I also like it with the background, but you can see like here's a way better contrast because of the white pants. Or one thing that I'm noticing though is the struggle with those blurry areas. I don't know. I've even noticed that in the trailers, in the official trailers, that there are some parts that are blurry. This pose is interesting. I don't know. It looks a little odd, maybe. I was either worried that it was tricky to pose and then it wasn't, or it was. But I think it was tricky to pose that because of the rotation of the tree. You really have to match it correctly so that it doesn't clip weirdly. But I do think it's a fun pose. It's really more like a posing for a photo pose, and it looks a little awkward. This is one of my favorite poses. This I might even rank 10 out of 10. I don't know, but I think maybe not. As I'm looking closer to this, I'm not sure if I like the left arm if you're looking directly to it on it. So her right arm, but I like the composite, you know, I like the graffiti wall and I like the light in the background and I don't know, the colors. I think it's a really cool pose. I also like her hand in the pocket because I usually don't do that. I have so many pictures or so many things, reference images saved, and I usually don't save ones where they have their hands in the pockets because it's kind of tricky to do in The Sims because there's no physics in the game. But it kind of worked out here, so I was really happy about that. And I think I had to experiment a little bit and test things out because it didn't work out. My initial, I'm not sure what I wanted to do at first, but it didn't really work out. And so it naturally just became this, and I'm really happy with that one. I think it's a really cool pose. This I theoretically also like. I don't like the background here. And I have another pose without the gnomes, but there, I think there was something off about that. Also, I forgot to post the hand, so I had to redo that or go back and post the hand and then take the photos. This one I like. You can see Noelle and Bradford again with their doggy. I think after they, or just as they adopted him, he was a stray, I think. And it's really, that's what I mean with Moonwood Mill. But with the werewolf world, oh wow. It's very beautiful. Also with the sunset, it's, I don't know, I think it's a beautiful world. And I really like the pose. And they've had that picture in their house hanging up. That's also a very adorable pose. I think it's also, even if you don't have them pose with, in the environment or with a certain thing that they're not interacting with a fence or a rock or something, but it's still fun. I don't know, it's so beautiful to have it as a background. I don't know. I really like that one. Also one that they had, a pip photo that they had in their house. I think all of their family photos. I don't have to mention it for all the picture or all the poses because I think they had them all up, or most of them. Also very adorable photo. I think Granite Falls also has really beautiful locations to take family photos. Also, I really like the dynamic, how the kids are being held differently. I don't know, how he's also petting the dog, and I don't know, I think it's a really cool dynamic and, composition of the pose. We're just gonna ignore this in the background because apparently I didn't take an extra screenshot, but those are just the screenshots that are taken when you take photos. That was a thumbnail pose for the Back to Basics series. So, Kaylin, did she get married to Jeff? I don't know. But she's not really a family person, even though it looks like a family pose. The poor kiddo, that's all I'm gonna say. And here you can see Bradford with his now wife, Stacy, but at this point, I think still girlfriend. I didn't even know that they could wait. I'm gonna keep going and talk about this later. This is also one of the Posing Townies poses, I guess. I think this is also really fun. I don't know. I like this one. It's a cool family photo with the bridge and the light and everything. I think as long as it's sunny, most poses look okay. Once it's a bit darker and cloudy, they're not as great, I think. Oh, and there's another pottery pose because I wanted to turn this into a pose pack, so I didn't want to just have one. Did I upload that? I might have. I think I did. But it's just those two poses, so the previous one and this one. But I also like the idea of having like younger versions of them, and I don't know, I think it's cute. This is also one of the Posing Townies poses. Not really that happy with that one. I think it's interesting. It does look cool, but I mean, I don't know. It's okay, I guess. It's a fun pose. It's cool but I don't know, I think I missed something about it, I guess. And here you can see them after they got engaged, and I think he even made her, so Bradford and Stacey after they got engaged, and I think he made the engagement ring. And what I wanted to say with the one, when I was talking about the other poses, I didn't know that they could marry two Sims because they got engaged because I think Noelle, his wife, got a pop-up, those messages that they can get from family or friends, like, hey, I found a ring in this and so-and-so's pocket, should I say yes? And if you click okay, they are engaged, and if not, I guess they're not. And so Noelle, his wife, got a pop-up from her saying like she found a ring in his pocket, should she say yes? I was like, I'm curious what happens, because I think if you try to play that, I think you can't propose to a Sim who is already married, or if your Sim is already married. So this only, I think, at least when I tried that, it didn't work, so I don't think it works, but maybe it does under certain circumstances. But I think it only works because of that pop-up. And so I am thinking about him and Noelle now getting a divorce. I was also thinking, because Noelle and Stacey, I didn't want them to date. I wanted him to date both of them and be married to both of them, but Noelle and Stacey, not to be in a relationship, but they are attracted to each other. So at some point I was also thinking maybe they could start dating. But I don't know. Maybe, I'm not even sure if they will get a divorce, but if they do, I'm not, they probably will not get, they can't get married again, I guess. If they can't propose if they're already married. Honestly, I don't even remember why I took this, why I made this pose. I don't remember. I don't remember what the inspiration was behind it. Did someone ask for a family pose? Was that it? I don't know. It's a cute pose. I also like that it includes the grandpa. Kind of sad that he isn't included in the pack, but you can get it. You can download him from the gallery. It's cute. It's fun to have like one with a pose with a grandparent, but I don't remember why I made the pose. Ooh, this was requested. Not like with this family or with this household. It wasn't like, hey, can you make a pose for Brand? But to have like a male heir pose and also a male couple and, two dads with a family. So this is one of the heir poses. And so I did make an entire hacking pose pack, which I still have to upload. I will upload it at some point, especially since this was a request, but I think they might have moved on. So you can always remind me if I forgot, but I also can't always react immediately. And so this is Brand. I don't know. I like both of those poses. I don't know. I think they turned out really well. And I also like this one. I also like how he's holding his fingers there. I don't know. I think it's a very adorable pose. This is so cute. And also one that I should probably reuse at some point. Here you can see them with their puppy, or not puppy, but with their little dog, Rosie. I think that's also cute, especially also, if you used it as a move in together pose, them moving in, or maybe even adopting a dog. I don't know, I think, or just having like a family photo, I guess. But I think it's really cute. And I think I read a comment like someone saying that there aren't that many poses for small dogs. So that's something. Should upload it, I guess. Again, I don't know what poses might be missing. I can assume, but since I never look for poses, I don't know. Because if I need one, I just make it. And here you can see the family photo. Obviously, they don't have kids in this in the game by default. So I think I just had them have kids so that I can take the photo, because that was also one of the requests, to have two dads with, I think, a child and a toddler. I don't think it was a generic family, but I think it was with a child and a toddler. And that made me notice that I've never had, in The Sims 4, I've never had a gay couple have kids. Because in the Davis family, or not really in the Davis family, but in the Growing Together series, there was Kenji, who wasn't really part of the family, and he moved out, and him and Sydney never had kids. So I never made poses for their mother's child. I made poses for Kenji and Sydney, but never with a kid, because they never had... Sydney had kids though, but I wasn't playing with them. They moved out, and so they weren't living with my Sims. And same with other couples, so they just moved out, and so that's why I don't take photos. So I really want to do that in the future, once I get the opportunity to play that in the save file, once someone has a son. With a long lifespan save file, I'm gonna continue with Vega, so I can't do that with her, but maybe with her son, or with Dawn's son, we'll see. I'm just throwing in names that probably won't say anything to you. Well, like, I don't know who the Sim is. What are you talking? Maybe this is more for me. I mean, who's gonna watch this till... If you're still watching this, let me know, and I'm really impressed, because I think for right now I'm just rambling for myself, I guess. Oh, this is so sweet, and I really like the screenshot, especially as you can see the photo studio and the stuff with the wall behind there. I don't know, I think it's a really cool screenshot, but it's also a bit sad because this screenshot or this photo will never really exist in the save file, because Jaden and so the two eldest, Jaden and Ryan, passed away before Dawn. I think even before Dawn was old enough to have... No, I think she could have had kids because she was a teen. But Dawn is a young adult right now. They have already passed away, and she still doesn't have a kid. So the fourth generation, I think someone had the request or asked for a fourth generation pose. And I've never had four generations in The Sims 4 yet. So it would be fun to have a save file with four generations, but it's not this, sadly. It would be cute. Again, not sure why I made this. It might have been a follow-up for the other, Michelson family. It is fun. I think I had issues with Christopher's pose that was kind of messed up, and I had to repose him. But it's a cute pose that they could hang up in their living room. But maybe I should build the treehouse first because it's not built by default, I think. And this is, I think I mentioned that already. This is one of those recreating poses, where, because in the Growing Up Together pose pack, the first one is Atlas with his baby sister Ryan. And so this is them being a little bit older, obviously not adults, but him being a teen and her being a child. And I think it's really adorable to just recreate those poses. And I have one more where I did that, but I think that's very, very cute. And I really like the idea. I had a lot of fun doing this. That was a fun pose. This was also a request, a really interesting request. At some point, I actually want to use this pose for a sleepover. I haven't done it yet, but it would be fun to do that. But I think when I'm playing, I'm just too... I think because I had a sleepover, I think even with threesomes, but I didn't want to take the photo at this point. But I think it's an adorable pose. This was based on a story. Like me not missing a bus, that's not true, but being confused that the bus didn't drive to the last bus stop, that it kind of ended I don't know how to say that. I don't know, but it didn't drive till the last stop. At some point, there were 2 more stops or so. I don't know, I mentioned it in the video, doesn't matter. Yeah, that was like me being inspired by real life, I guess. Oh, I think I kind of randomly started this and then just finished the post. And yeah, but it's very adorable because in one of the so maybe this is another pose, because in the beginning there was a one with Cat and Kiyoshi. I was like, that's the only pose I took for this from the save file. Maybe not, but this never happened in that save file, so maybe it was the only one. But it's really adorable because I did have the idea for Kyo to end up with Ash. It's very adorable. Also one that I might use in the future, but tweak so that it fits another sim or another couple. But very adorable. This was me randomly being inspired while playing, so this is also Noelle that you've already seen in some of the other poses, and her husband Bradford. They don't have a wedding photo, by the way. I think I meant to. They also don't have any engagement photos. I meant to, but I didn't make one for them. But I think that's fine. I think they got married in El Salvador. I don't know, not sure. But maybe they just didn't they didn't have a big wedding party. I think that's why they don't have a photo. They just got eloped, I guess, or married in just the 2 of them without any guests. But yeah, I think I kind of got... I think I was just inspired by the sewer gate and I had the idea of her just lying there. So I have quite a few variations. So like him there with her and then her by herself. And that are now the other tattoo poses. So I wanted one of each getting a tattoo, then one of each after after they got their tattoo. So this is after Noelle got her tattoo. So the first one was her getting the tattoo. This is her after she got her tattoo. So now the next one would be him getting the tattoo, right? And then him after... No, that's both of them with their tattoos. This is him after getting his tattoo. I think those are fun. They are cute. I think this is nice. Not sure... I don't know. This is something where they wouldn't put up the picture. He, by the way, also had a tattoo studio. I don't think I ever hung up those photos in there. Would have made sense. But I don't know, I think especially this one I like a lot. And this is the Davis family. I think I might have wanted even to do a few more ranch poses, but I didn't really play the ranch lifestyle all that much because then Neela moved out, Dawn moved out, Luna moved out, and just Cody was still left. Would have been nice, but I think I just wanted to keep going and keep playing, so I didn't make many more poses. But I think it's a nice family photo. It's very cute. I think during the summer I just wanted to make a mermaid pose, and this is actually, I think the pose is based on I like this, posing with that rock, because it's not really functional in the game and they can't do anything there. So I kind of like using it for poses. And I think this might have been based on a pose I made last year. Ah, this is so adorable. I think it's because someone asked for a pose of twins with a toddler, and I think this is so adorable. I also, I didn't because the long legacy, like the long lifespan legacy this way. So with Bradford, Stacey, Noel, Vega, this family. I think when they had the family reunion, I had the idea of having, the twins posing with one of the little kids that are there, and so I wanted to use this pose, but I didn't have it in my game, so I didn't end up using it. But this would have been one of the poses. I would have reused this pose in my game if I had the pose pack in my game, which I unfortunately didn't. But there might be another opportunity, hopefully. And this is the other recreated pose from the Growing Up Together pose pack, the second one. I think it's fun. Also, with taking these screenshots, I'm kind of looking a little bit about composition, and so that the lamp is there and not sticking out behind her head or something. I don't know, I like how this looks. This is such a fun pose. Also, this is one that I did use for the at the family reunion with Noelle and her daughter Vega. And this is the summer pose pack. I think this is a fun pose pack. I had trouble with the fingers, that they weren't in game where they are in Blender. And so I kind of had to tweak it a little bit and go back into the game, back to Blender, and go a little bit back and forth. But it's a cute, fun photo. I don't know. I think it's a cool pose and a cool screenshot. This as well. I don't know. This is also one of the in the moments photos. But it is fun. This one maybe not as much because of the darkness from the pool. Maybe in another pool it would have been better, but I think I wanted to use townies, or maybe even base game townies for this pose pack. This is also, I don't know, I think this is a really fun pose that I could also use for, oh, that would be so fun for next year, maybe like a pool party pose pack. Can someone please remind me on that? If someone is still watching, can you please remind me? And I think this was actually the first pose I made for the pose pack, but I think because of the times and dates, I don't know, it's kind of backwards. I don't know. But I think it's fun. And this was actually inspired by this pop-up, the sales pop-up, or some pop-up in the game that I used as a base or like as an inspiration for this pose. But I think it's a fun pose. I think I like the rendered version better though than the screenshot. Ooh, and that's inspired by the Grange Mudroom kid. I don't know, sometimes kids, new worlds, objects, it just inspire me to make poses. So that's also like not a pose, really a pose pack. I might have wanted to turn this into a pose pack to upload. Haven't done that. Not sure if I'm going to unless someone wants it. But I think it's a really fun pose for her to, to get ready, put her shoes on, or maybe off, I don't know. And this is even cuter with him helping his daughter to put off her shoes after they had so much fun outside, I assume. And this one is also very adorable and like also a cute photo to just take a photo of them in game and hang it up on the wall. I don't know. I think it's a very adorable. Oh no. I put my hair tie. I was playing with my hair tie, and this has nothing to do with the poses, but I was playing with my hair tie and dropped it into my glass of water. Okay, let's keep going. This is so adorable. So this was on at Stacey's and Bradford's engagement party, and so Noelle, his wife, is playing a song playing the keyboard for them, and I like the idea of them. I think I also took some photos of them interacting with it, them kissing and holding hands and like normal game interactions. But I also like the idea of them just standing there and watching her play for them. I don't know, it's really cool. And here you can see the entire family posing for a family picture. It's very adorable. Also, just a little side note, I kind of like the idea of her being like very snuggly with Orion. Just because I think she wanted kids, and so her interacting with a kid before she has her own, it's kind of cute how she's like those people who are just meant to have kids and are really good with kids. I think so. That's just her. That she's someone who always wanted a child, and so this is like for her so cool to hold a little kid, and I don't know. So that's why she's kind of putting her head on his head, if that makes sense. This was based on, because I also replayed kind of like some of Stacey's backstory. She also was married, and but while playing that, because she's in a painter career, I'm not sure if that, yeah, it must have something to do with the career, because she got the pop-up of Gregory Landgraf coming to her studio with another version or an older version of it. I don't really remember. So basically, she was supposed to paint in the pop-up while she was at work. It's a rabbit hole shit, so you don't see it actually happening, but she was supposed to paint a portrait of Gregory Landgraf. And so I actually wanted her to paint a portrait of Gregory Landgraf. So that's what she did. I don't think it really worked out that well because when you paint from reference, it's very grainy. And I think there are mods for this, but I think I had issues that all the paintings, when I tried it, just turned out white. It had nothing to do with the mod because I got that to work with another pose. But in this case, I don't know, something was messed up there with the paintings. That they, or especially with painting from reference, that it didn't work out from, I think more from the game than from the mod. I don't know. But I think that's why I don't really have a portrait. I have probably tons of pictures of him, but not really a portrait. That would have been nice though. And those are group poses, or friendship group poses. I think those were also requests, and I think I uploaded this pose pack. I think they're really nice. I also did took some photos at the bridge in Copperdale, which is such a fun location for teens to hang out. But I think these are also really nice generic poses. Here you might have the issue that they won't work for all Sims. And this would be one of the poses that I wouldn't just reuse in game, but just reuse in Blender and tweak them to fit other Sims. But I don't know, because those are just generic poses when I'm just posing like that, because even in real life they all look very similar. So this is why I used the reference and did something different that's not as generic. I really like this. I think that's a fun pose and a fun idea to have something that's not just standing, having the arms around the shoulders, to have something a little bit more different than the rest of the poses. And here you can see another more generic pose, still of this pose pack. That's the last one. I think there were only 3. Well, not I think there were only those 3. And I also see that Q's hand is clipping a little bit. But yeah, but just for 4 Sims instead of 3. And the family reunion. That's the first time I played the family reunion. I think I wanted to make more photos for the family reunion, or more poses, so that there are different constellations of of family constellations, so that I have one of Ryan and Jaden, and then maybe even the cousins, or I don't know. I wanted to have more than just this one big family photo, but it took me so long that eventually I just kept playing, and then I don't know, I think having just this one is also fine. But originally I wanted to make more poses for the family reunion, but this is still adorable. And also, I don't know, I like how they're just sitting on there, not on a regular bench, especially with multiple Sims, or with this many Sims. You have to get creative how they can all sit, and I think that's a fun pose. This is Vega and Ryan, so Noelle's and Bradford's kids, with their cousin Lyric, when they were visiting. And I like how when Sims stay in touch with the extended family and when they stay friends. She's a little bit younger, but I think they also hung out as kids. And I think with the sleepover post, I mentioned that they had a sleepover, and that sleepover was with Lyric. I think they also had another one later on. Without her, with someone else. But I don't know, it's nice when cousins hang out in The Sims. It's so cute if they stay in touch with the extended family. And it's a really adorable pose. I really like that one. Oh, that's after the twins aged up to children. I don't think I posed the dog. I think that's just, there's not a specific poses. By the way, I also, when I counted all the poses, I don't think I counted those in. Just because I think in this time it's just a game animation, and not really. The dog wasn't even, I think he wasn't even, I didn't even include him in Blender, because I don't really like posing pets. I've said that multiple times. But yeah, but it's a cute pose of them, a nice family photo. And there are a few more of those. That's when the family went to Tomarang for, I haven't posted the video yet. I also haven't edited any of that yet. The twins, I think, but not really shared yet. Doesn't matter. But that's the family took a vacation in Tomarang, and this is Stacy is pregnant. You can't really tell that much, I think, here, just because their hands are a little bit in the way. But I like the idea of them sitting there on the stairs and posing together. Unfortunately, it's cloudy, so the quality isn't that great. The photo would have been much better, I think, if it was sunny. But it's still a nice photo of them. And I like this one. Here it is sunny, and it's so much better, I think. And here you can also, I think, tell a little bit better, and maybe not from that angle. But here I think you can tell that she's pregnant maybe a little bit. I think it's also nice. I don't know, I like also Noelle and Vega, how Noelle and Vega poses. You know how she's kind of leaning against her mom's hips and she's kind of like, I don't know, it's such a fun pose. I think really like that one. This I think was also a request, or because I think someone might have asked about a twin pose or poses with twins. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure if I have already posted the pose pack. I think I have though, but I think it's a cute pose. This is Dawn, which you maybe might have seen or recognized from some other of the poses that I've shown here. But this didn't really happen. I just made this for they just had the kids for this pose. They don't really have kids in the save file. And that's the other way around. So we have here 2 twins or twin toddlers and an infant, and here twin infants and a toddler. So to have it the other way around as well. And I think some of the poses, I'm not quite sure which one they are. I think based on older poses as well. I think there was like an older pose that I just tweaked and changed so that they're sitting on a bed. Are they hovering or is it just looking like that? Kind of looks like they're not really touching the ground of the bench. I don't know. I mean, if I am just only now noticing that, it can't be that bad. And here again, those kids obviously don't exist in the save file. I did use the save file, I think, in one of the kids for another post later on. And this is Vega with Pixel. I think it's a really cute pose, and I also like the idea that she has a photo with her stuffed toy, because in this event, it kind of tells a story how the kids stop playing with it and kind of lose not the memories, but how they kind of lose that childhood play. If you've played the event, you might know what I mean. I think I don't know, it doesn't matter, but I kind of like the idea of her, having a photo of her childhood friend and then completely forgetting about that, and then randomly seeing that photo like, oh yeah, that used to be my favorite toy as a kid. And I think I kind of wanted to play it that she left it in, is it Sullivan Glade? Or was it the other world? I don't know, but in this hidden world that she kind of left it there and then randomly finds it again at some point. Or maybe she didn't leave it. I don't know. But I think it's a cute pose. Oh, and that's now Dawn with one of her kids, one of the twins from the previous poses, but as a child. I saw this custom content, was like, oh, I want to use this for a pose. Might also at some point do it with an adult, but I don't know how, because I think this was the only scenario where you can actually highlight the prosthetics. Because if you have a sim just standing there, you can just use a regular pose. And so this actually has the connection to the prosthetic. And I like how Dawn is kind of holding her daughter there. That's not really her daughter. It might be in this safe, but she doesn't have a daughter. The actual Dawn doesn't. This is a clone of Dawn. Yeah, let's keep going. This is another family. I said there are more family poses to come for this family, because it is long lifespan, and so there's just a lot happening. Obviously, here in this pose, it's Noelle who's pregnant. You can see here, Stacy holding her child, and this is her only child, so they didn't get a large. And also the household is at its capacity. So they won't have any more kids, I guess. Oh, and here we can see a pose just with Noelle and Bradford. It's cute. Here again, I like the lighting and how it's like a little bit of sunset light vibe. I don't know. And here, that's the first time I played with the Spooky Party, because I also haven't really used the Spooky Day. What's the pack name? But you know which pack I mean. Up till that point, and so that was the first time me using that pack, even though I've had it for a while. And I think it's really fun. The only tricky thing is that I obviously wanted them to wear the costumes in Blender so that it doesn't clip as much, and so I actually had to make them costumes in Creator Sim. But with the party, they all automatically change into costumes, but each time you load, it would just reload new costumes. It would, I don't know, so I actually had to give them set outfits for this, but it's really adorable. And this is Vega because I also never used the pumpkin carving station, and so this is Vega showing off her first carved pumpkin. I think it's really adorable, but I think it's I'm a bit too dark. I think this might have. Oh, also they moved, but at this point they left off the grid. So obviously Vega. So I think if the lights would have turned on, it would have looked beautiful, or way better than here. But it is a bit dark in the screenshot, I think. But it's still adorable. Also because to have her pose, I obviously had to turn the pumpkin into a custom content pumpkins, if that makes sense. And so I think it had like a weird light glitch, which you luckily can't really tell. And I think I also imitated the light in Blender to get a render by putting the light object, Blender's light object inside the Blender so that it also lights out of the pumpkin. And that's from Spooky Day to Winterfest. We kind of skipped, or I skipped, Harvest Fest. Didn't make a Harvest Fest post this year. I made a few last year of the Davis family, but here they are all looking towards the camera. And I think as I was working on that, here you can see it. I like them just randomly looking somewhere and not really looking. I like that they weren't looking at the camera here, so I also wanted to have this option or this variant of the pose, so I also kept that one, but I didn't include it in the pose pack. This is also one of, I think this one is part of the Advent Calendar pose pack as a bonus pose. And this is when I noticed, because when Adventure Rights came out, I also wanted to make some poses with the objects, and I didn't know that they were automatically available automatically. I didn't know that they were already available in Sims 4 Studio, because it hasn't been updated, or at this point it has been now, but it wasn't updated immediately, so I thought it wasn't available there, and that's when I found out that that the items are already in Sims 4 Studio. You just have to search for, you had to type in EPA 20 for them to show up, and I didn't know that. I randomly saw an item that was in the pack or in the world and was like, wait, isn't that from Adventured Waits? And then I saw that, and so like, I don't know, that's why when I made the post, when I realized that you can actually already export the objects. And I think they're on a family vacation. Yeah, they must be on a family vacation in Mount Komorebi. And I wanted them to have a fun memory of them building a snow pile, because I think, did I? No, I didn't include this here, but they also made a sand sculpture when they were in Tomarang, and I also wanted to take a photo of them, but I didn't. In this case, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to open up Blender to make a post, so I just had them stand there and take a photo with poses I already had in my game, or that I already had available. I think me talking will get worse. I think my sentences won't make much sense from here on now, and even in the I'm rambling on. Whoa, I've been talking for way too long. Wow. Again, let me know if you're still listening or watching. Wow. But yeah, but in this case, I actually did make them pose with the snow pile, because I like the idea. What I didn't know though is that there are different sizes of snow piles. There are those 2-ball snow piles and the 3-tiered ones, if that makes sense. And I think this was based on one. The pose is actually, I think, based on one that's meant for the 3 balls and not just 2. But it still works, sort of. I had to tweak it a little bit, or not tweak it, but I had to position them slightly differently than it was meant to, but it's still adorable, I think. This was also a request, but I don't remember the request. It's kind of fun using like random townies and just random, that are not really related to each other, and just have them being combined into a family photos, even though they have nothing and they don't even know each other. And that's still, I made a post of Noelle with her skis, even though she doesn't like, last year, even though she doesn't like skiing. And her daughter, that's her daughter Vega, who likes skiing. And so it's kind of fun having those photos. I think they even have that in their house, those vacation photos. And I think I really like, especially because it is so bright, and I don't know, I really like this. It's such a fun pose. Oh, and that's a new series. I thought I might make kind of similar to not really like posing townies, but like a posing series where I'm telling her story, or like this is supposed to be a legacy challenge, or not legacy challenge, but a legacy save file. And I wanted to tell the story through the poses to be like, yeah, this is Rain, and tell her story. So you might already see because it kind of keeps going. She kind of met Star, and they went on a date. And this is also one of my favorite poses from the year. This is so fun with the glowing in the bag and the bluish water, or not bluish, but the blue glowing water, the kayaks in the back. I think this is a fun pose, and also they're posing on rocks, which is also fun. Maybe not to post them or to get them there, but once you get it, it's a fun pose. It's so cool. It's so totally worth it. Once you get it right, to have them pose on rocks or even on fences, and I think this looks so cool. I really like this one. And here you can see her maybe after she hooked up with Kyle. And this is the pose from the getting ready pose pack that I kind of tweaked a little so that it's not the exact same pose. And yeah, you can guess what happened next. You can kind of see how their story evolves just by seeing the poses. I don't really have to say that much, I guess. You can see them getting married, her at the hospital right before she has the baby. Okay, now the order is a little bit off again because I think the photos from the afternoon, or the screenshots from the afternoon, are shown before the ones from the morning, so the AM and PM are not in order. So this obviously happened before they got married. And then they also had a kiss photo, which is cute. This was just a test. I did count all the, I think I mentioned this before, I did count all the poses. I didn't count this one because this was just me testing out, making poses with newborns, because I haven't done that before that. So this was me just figuring it out. This is a test pose, and that's also oh. No, I didn't count this in. I was just like, wait, because I haven't have the exact same pose, again, which you will probably see later. So this is, I think I noticed that and didn't count that in as well. Okay, and back to the advent calendar pose. I thought there's still another family pose of those two, which comes later, but those are the advent poses. And I really like the idea because I saw photos of people posing with candy canes, and I really liked the idea. I think I think I also that's it, because I was like, I also wanted to make one of Friends, and I did do one of Friends holding the candy canes. But I also wanted to have one of an individual sim, or just one sim holding the candy cane heart, which I didn't do. I might do that next year, we'll see. And yeah, again, advent calendar pose. This is really adorable, and this actually is based on the Kenji and Sydney pose that I did not even last year. I think it was 2023 or something. I'm not sure though. Also, I had to, or not had to, but I also decorated all the places so that the backgrounds also kind of match the vibe. And here you can see the two friends being excited. I really like that. Also, it's kind of fun having like photo poses without the Sims looking towards the camera, because you could still take a photo of them and hang it up, of two friends or even a couple being happy about the snow without them actually looking towards the camera. I think those are fun photos when they are like in the moment photos that you could still hang up, that it makes sense and are not just storytelling. Oh, and those are so out of order. This is a really fun pose. It's really adorable. I like the vibe. I like the colors. This is so cute. And here I definitely next year at some point, the latest will be next Christmas. But to have, and I was already thinking when I was making the poses about this, but I didn't want to overdo it, so I also only made poses for a child and an infant with Father Winter. But I think at some point I want to make a pose pack with multiple, variations, so that you have maybe two children or two infants, or a toddler and an infant, a child and a toddler, or a child and two infants, to have different groups for this type of pose, so that you could actually use it because this way it only works if you have a child and an infant, and it would be fun to have more options than just this one. But yeah, that will be next year. Oh, and this is also really again also one where the sim isn't looking towards the camera, but it would still be cute if you take a photo and hang it up. And this is also very adorable. This was one of the poses where I actually had to go back to Blender and fix a few things. I did check most of the poses, but this was definitely one where I actually had a few, a few minor clipping issues I think that I could have overlooked, but I had to change or improve or fix a few other mistakes with other poses. And so I just took notes and fixed this one as well. I think here might have, no, you can still see it, like, see at least one of the issues that Orion's arm is clipping through Christopher's arms. I think there were a few more issues with this one that I don't see right now. It's not that noticeable, and if he was wearing a different sweater, probably wouldn't clip either. Oh, and that's the one post that I meant with Rain and Carl, where I was like, hey, they already have that. It's so cute. I don't know, because I did have a this post was based because I did make it, which will come later, even though I did it before this, but I don't have a screenshot, I only have a render of that. But oh, this is clipping through the gown. I'm just now not noticing this. It's fine. But I made a post of her with a newborn, but it was an infant, a resized infant. Because I didn't know how to make it with a newborn, and then when I figured it out, I redid it with an actual newborn, and I added another sim to this, because in the original pose it was just her and the baby, and here it's her partner, the baby, and I'm not even sure if they are. Those are sims that I didn't really play with. I just used them for poses. Oh, and that's another candy cane pose. Actually, this also. Wait. Oh no, the other one was the couple pose. I was like, wait, this could work for friends, but this is the couple, the candy cane pose that's meant for friends and not for a couple. Even though this could also be cute for a couple. And that's him decorating. I think this could be also sweet for storytelling. Very adorable pose. Not an adorable screenshot. This is also really adorable. By the way, this is Lan, Stacy's son, and Noelle. So kind of, I think, her stepmom then. Ah, and this is another. Did I say that there aren't any more Casey and Sieg poses? No, but I did want to have variation in the advent calendar poses or in the winter poses or winter holiday themed poses. So I did use them. And it's really adorable. I did take the screenshots and poses and photos from different angles, but I think this is a very adorable and comfy pose. And her decorating. I don't know, I also like the idea of having photos of the Sims, or not photos, but screenshots of the Sim decorating the places, so you could also see the toddler decorating, but here, or, and here her decorating with the wreath and hanging it up. Also, this is like one of the poses where it's not an extra object, it's just the wreath that comes with the that you just place normally. It's not a specific object for the pose pack, which made it easier on me. Although I had to figure out how high I had to place it, so I don't know if it was that much easier. This is basically the same object, but in this case it's a clone. It's not the exact same. It is the same, but it's it's a second object, a second wreath, basically, so that you can actually place it anywhere, because it is not placed on the wall. And I did have to tweak a few things and uncheck some boxes so that it's actually not checked as wall decor, so that it doesn't clip to the wall and that you can place it freely anywhere. But it's a cute pose. I did have some issues with the arms and, with her, I don't know, I didn't like, what's her name? The left Sim's arm. I don't know, but I think it's fine. It's cute. Oh, and this one I really like. By the way, this pose also inspired another one when I edited the video. I think that's a really cute pose and a very comfy pose. This is also a very comfy pose, but I think I like the one with the books better. Oh, and here, yeah, here you can see that's the same photo or the same pose as before, but I think here I actually fitted changed. This is also one of the things that I fixed, because before you had to place the teleporter inside the snow pile, and so it's a bit more tricky to actually post them. So I made it that you have to place. I also never shared the screenshots where to actually place the teleporter. I just noticed. But here you can place the teleporter in front of the snow pile, and here you can see them actually posing with the right snow pile that is meant to be used with this pose. Oh, and this is also one of the bonus poses, because in the original or in the actual pose, she's holding an ornament, so you need seasons for that. And so this is just an alternative if you don't have seasons. And it's a really, I don't know, it's nice. It's a cute family pose. I might have used the one of Orion holding baby Neela as a base. Not sure right now, because it does look slightly different. She's sitting. Is she sitting there? I don't know. I think so. But it's a so cute pose that I might reuse at some point. This is also an adorable pose. I could also reuse this without the sled. But here I had trouble testing it. Originally there was snow when I tested it and when I took the screenshots, but I kind of got them mixed up because the description didn't match. And so the sim that's now in the back was in the front and vice versa. So there were some clipping issues. So and then I don't know, I apparently didn't bother to make it snow again. Very adorable. Also very adorable if you don't have seasons. But here I actually did use, for these poses, I did use a previous pose of, the family ice skating. So this was actually Jaden and Leighton, I think, when, and I just tweaked it and changed it a bit to something new. And here's the sim, the mom decorating with her infant. Weirdly enough, I had issues. It apparently isn't an issue in-game, but in Blender, the weight of the bones didn't really match up, so his hand looked a bit weird when I posed them. Looks fine in game though, so I did change out the infant while making the pose, and I think it was this pose where I had the issue. But in the game it wasn't an issue, which is good, because that would be annoying. But it would kind of deform the hand weirdly and not properly in Blender with this sim, with just this infant, but then the other infant it worked perfectly. Am I starting to mumble, or am I mumbling the entire time? I feel like I might be mumbling now. This is also very adorable of the family reading together. Very nice, cozy, winter themed pose. This is also one of the bonus poses, and the cool thing about this one, I think, I like these kind of group poses that are made of smaller group poses, because you could just use the 3 sims on the left or the 3 on the right, or just combine and have them all pose. But so this are actually like 3 different poses in one, and I like these types of poses because then I can also mix and match when I make new poses, when I'm just using, like, I don't know, I'm using the second sim from the left with the toddler and the right sim, for example, if that makes sense. And this, maybe not in the screenshot. This is the parents showing their infant the snow for the first time, and I eventually also cheated that it was actually snowing, because I think at this moment it wasn't even snowing yet, and so it doesn't really make much sense. But eventually I also have some screenshot where it actually did snow. And here you can actually, because I did show you the test pose. This video is so long, there are so many poses. You can't guess how many there are. But yeah, here you can see the finished pose, which is so exciting that I finally know how to make that, although I'm still hesitant of making a tutorial because I'm still not that used to it. So I might need to refigure it out every time I do it, because I haven't done it often enough to be very secure doing it. It doesn't make sense. I feel like with making poses, I'm so used to it that I don't really have to think about it. And I feel it's very, very easy. And here I might need to look up how I did this again. And I also, there was some, I forgot the name. I might link it down because I couldn't have done it if someone else hadn't figured it out first, how to do this. Because I used their Blender files as a reference on how to actually make it work. So thank you for the help, I guess. I doubt that this person's even watching this, and I'm sorry that I don't know your name. Oh, and here you can see them with the baby being an infant now. I also really like this one because it's nice and summer and it's bright outside and it's really adorable. And it doesn't look too similar to the family poses I already have. Oh, this is also fun. This is also a family pose where I just reused. So this Noel and the dog, his eye looks weird. Oh, I'm just now noticing that. The dog's eye, the right one, that's weird. He's looking in different directions in all the poses probably, but I don't know. This is Noelle. I used the pose of Noelle posing with the dog or with her old family dog last year, so I reused the pose and changed it slightly so that she looks in the right direction. I might have also changed the leg. All those poses were previous made poses, and I just tweaked them slightly. So the one of Bradford and his son Orion are the one of Kyo and his sister Megumi? Was that the mom? Not sure. And even the one with Vega you might have seen before, but I made her sit down or kneel there instead of standing there. Oh, and also very adorable. The kids posing together. Also still on their vacation. And that's her baking. Did I get this kid only for this screenshot? Maybe. But it's an adorable screenshot. And this is also one of the posts that I wanted to make a while ago. And so I'm really happy that I finally did. Because I also already had a Blender file where I started the pose. But I think here I actually redid it because it wasn't that difficult. And so I think I started from scratch here. But it's a very adorable pose. And another family reunion. I should have stopped the time how long this took me. A lot of already pre-made poses. If you look at the kids' poses, that's all the same pose. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's basically all based on the same pose. And the one of the 3 siblings, I don't know how to describe that. But in the back on the right, so those are also poses from a pose pack from last year that I think I only changed them very, very slightly so that they are looking towards it and moved them around a little bit. But most of them I think are probably reused. I don't think I made any of the poses from scratch. I just used poses I already had and tweaked them and made them into this big family photo. But it's really fun. It's really cute. I really like it. And it was actually kind of tricky to get that worked out in game to have them all pose, because they would just randomly get out of the pose and stand up and start walking and leaving. Until I eventually found out it's because of the lot capacity, because I think there can only be 20 sims per lot by default. And so once I changed this number and I made it higher, they actually stayed and worked out, but I had to figure that out first. So I'm actually glad that eventually it worked and they didn't just randomly stop posing. Especially with the kids, it was tricky because they would just vanish all the time, the smaller kids, the toddlers and the infants. So they would just vanish all the time, and so this was quite tricky. But worth it, it's really cool. Do they have that? Yeah, I think they have that in their house, the photo. Oh, and that's Dawn. This is supposed to be her engagement photo, even though at the time when I made the post, or not made the post, but actually made the photo, she's almost getting divorced. I don't know. It might take me a while until I actually continue playing with this family or with this household. But my idea is that she catches her husband cheating, and then they get a divorce. So they were never meant to be endgame. And sometimes it's like I know they won't stay together and I still make the post even though I know this is not gonna last. But I think it's a fun post because this is just this different engagement post. It's not the usual showing off the ring. And so I don't know, I like that. And here you can actually see her posing with her mom and her sister. I don't know. The idea is that she visited her mom after she moved out. And I think Luna moved out with her mom, and Dawn obviously also has her own place. But so that she moved her mom and her sister, and also see the nursery. And I think she even added the baby mobile in the nursery. Oh, and here you can. When Adventure Awaits came out, I thought it would be so fun for Vega and her twin brother Orion to go to Camp Gibby Gibby together during the summer. And then I was like, it would be so sweet to have them go to their grandma's ranch. And so I had to kind of make it work because Alina and Noel they don't have the best relation. I wanted them to have a difficult relationship and to not get along that well, and that Alina never approved of her that much, that she doesn't approve her husband, that she was never a fan of the relationship, and so that and that Noelle also resents her mother for this, and also that that her mom, that she was kind of like a daddy's girl, and her mom, getting remarried after her dad. This is maybe at some point I'm gonna tell their family story, but this would be too long. But basically, they have a difficult relationship, and so I didn't want them to have to. I also didn't want for the kids to be in touch. But I liked the idea so much, and that this was the only chance because this was during the summer, and I wanted them to spend their summer at the ranch, and I knew because I knew that Alina wouldn't live long enough to do that the next summer, so this was the only chance to do it during the summer. And so I was like, okay, this year they could go to Grandma's ranch during the summer, and then the next summer they could go to Camp Gibby Gibby. And because of the horse ranch, I liked the idea of her riding with her grandma. And Vega is even, and I also took lots of pictures, I think, with them not posing, but them interacting with the animals. And Vega is also an animal enthusiast, I think, and so I don't know, I like the idea that she could even, that Alina's other daughter might keep up the ranch, and so that she maybe visits her aunt. I don't know. I don't think Vega will, yeah, that's Vega. I don't think she will have her own ranch. I want her to become a vet and have a vet clinic at some point. But I don't know, I like the idea of her also being a horse girl and riding, and I don't know, was really cute. This is, by the way, one of the poses that I did afterwards. So this wasn't me like interrupting my gameplay for this. It was like saving it, continue playing, have a separate not save file, but like have like a recovered version that I named like horse riding. Oh, I'm not even sure if I did that. I don't know. But I made the pose way after they were visiting her or being at the ranch. So this was way later, and not while they were still at the ranch. This pose is so fun. This pose is based on a friend's profile picture, and I really liked how this one turned out. This is so freaking adorable, and I had really trouble posing Yorick the dog, because I'm terrible at posing. And in the profile, so it's, did I say profile picture? But it's based on a friend's profile picture, and on the picture the dog lays differently, and also it's the dog lays on the other side. But I did use a previous dog pose as a base. I think I might have changed it slightly so that the head is actually resting on her lap, and it's so adorable. It's such a cool pose and cute. I can't even talk anymore. Yeah, you can actually see in the background, you can see Vega, hugging the goat. This is not a pose, that's just a game interaction. But that was while she was visiting her grandma, or while she was at Grandma's ranch during the summer with her brother. So adorable. I think that's when I made the horse pose or the riding pose so that I could fill up those picture frames after they moved. I'm not sure. But I think this is a very adorable pose. I like that one. I also like how the dog is just lying there and resting his head on the lap. This is so cute. Oh, this is when, I think, Noelle? Yeah, I think it must have been Noelle with some other family members. They visited someone at the lot that by default is owned by the Watson family. As the Noelle is generation 3, they don't live there anymore. They are no longer alive. Someone else lives at this lot. But I saw this barn and I thought it would be so cute to have a couple sneaking around. And you know, have a pose of someone there, of a couple there, and I like the idea of, you know, teenagers sneaking around, and so it was kind of like a fun coincidence that that she lives there by default on the slot, and they have a love relationship, or romantic relationship. So I like the idea of the two teens sneaking around, and they're you know, being cutesy and romantic at this barn. And here you can see them actually at Camp Gibby Gibby a year later. I wanted to make a few poses. So this is Noelle with, I think, Aaron. Yeah, this must be Aaron. And I like the idea of them also posing in front of that. This is such a fun pose. I think maybe they snuck off a little. I also had the idea, there are a few more. So you have here her twin brother with, what's her name? Arias? I don't know. I also took some photos of those two poses combined, so that it's like a group poses, but in this case, I also made individual ones of just the two of them. And then also I like the idea of them, you know, posing on the bunk bed, and while making the pose, and I'm also talking about this in the specific video, but I like the idea because I wanted them to look down so that the person taking the photo is basically in the room, so that they had to look, basically they would look towards the right bottom corner. But as I was making the poses, they were looking to different directions, and I liked that in the moment, and so I got the idea of them just looking to the other side, to the other bed that's or to the opposite bed. And then I like the idea of another kid being on this bunk bed. And I never took because I also like the idea of taking like a screenshot on the photo, you know, from the actual position that I wanted to do at first. Never ended up doing that. But I like the idea of, you know, another kid being on the other bunk bed and taking the photo of the twin. It's a very adorable photo. And I want those two set of twins to be friends. By the way, those were the twins that they had the second sleepover with. And I don't know, this is a very adorable photo. And here you can even see a camp photo. I also took a lot of in-game screenshots, you know, of them just doing stuff, even kayaking and so, and not just post photos, but I also like to have like an actual group photo of the camp, you know, with all the kids, and also the, what are they called, camp counselors? I think that's really fun to have like a one group pose. And I actually looked up because I didn't know how to pose the adults with the kids, and here you can also maybe tell that I reused some of the poses. I think because I don't like the left and so areas, I don't know, but I don't really like her hand, so I think this is the one that I pointed out at the beginning, where I'm like, I didn't like the hand. Was it, oh, what's his name, Alexander Goth, I think. So I think all of, at least from the kids' poses, they are all reused poses. What's the blonde kid's name? Is it Scotty? I don't know. Buddy. I think, is it Buddy Scott? I don't know. But maybe this is the Kyoshi's little sister. That, you know, this is this original pose, if that makes sense. So I did reuse I think I reused all of those poses and just mixed and matched that. Kind of use them slightly differently. And I did look up, that's what I actually wanted to say, I did look up real camp or group photos of, but the ones that I had were, you know, of teens, like my photos that was, you know, when I was at a camp when I was a teenager. And so, and it didn't really match the vibe, so I kind of had to go off, because I was like, I don't know how to have the adults interact with because I like the idea of them standing, like how they do it here, that they have their hands on the shoulders, but it didn't work out with the third sim. It looks kind of like off because the kids are all in a row there. But I like how it actually turned out in the end. And the photos that I had when I went to a summer camp, they didn't really work out that well as a reference. But it was still fun to look back at old photos. And what was also wild to me is that I can't remember any of them. But yeah, okay, that's just on a little side note. Let's keep going. I just now today took the screenshot because I kind of forgot that I don't have one yet. This is I don't even know why I took this. I just thought I just had randomly started working on this one. But Neela at the hospital when she's pregnant with her third child. And here, this one I actually really, really like. You can see the baby mobile that I think Dawn added, or her oldest daughter, when she visited them. And I don't know, I think this is very adorable. Her sitting in the rocking chair, looking at her baby bump. This is a very adorable pose. And that's the last screenshot, I think, but I still have a few renders that never made it into the game, apparently. Well, this hasn't made it to the game yet, but it will be eventually. So this looks really weird here. But this isn't one of the animations, or the animation I'm still working on. I still have to finish that for another video because I want a ballet animation, and yeah, I still have to, because with these animations or poses, the arms are just messed up, and you can see how that it looks a bit weird there as well, and so they kind of flicker weirdly, and so it's a bit tricky to get this to work. But I can't wait to see the finished animation. This could be really, really cool. Oh, this is so cute. I don't know, like, I think, okay, here it looks a little bit weird because you can tell that it's with the background, but I don't know, I like how the renders look in comparison to the screenshot. It looks off with it would have looked probably better if you don't see the feet or if you don't see their feet. But I don't know, I like this pose. It's also, I think this was actually meant to be also part of the getting ready pose pack. But it didn't really fit the vibe, and so I changed it and have it like, and I also think I wanted to make, I made it into its own thing, and then I wanted to make, I had the idea of making like a goth pose pack, or maybe even a Bella Mortimer pose pack, but I also wanted to make a goth family pose pack, and have this as part of it, but I still haven't finished that. There's still a few missing. This one I also really like. And this one looks so much better with the background photo or the background screenshot. But this looks so fun and so cute, I think. Also with her hand, I think. And, how he's holding. I probably used a reference photo for this one. But it's a really fun and cute pose. Did that get smaller? The size here is weird. And yeah, because I had the idea of them, having like different photos or different poses of different life stages. So to have them there's also a wedding photo of them when they were young, and then have one of them, her pregnant with Cassandra, then one with baby Cassandra, child Cassandra, also one with Alexander. But I haven't gotten to those yet, so I still have to make those family photos. But this would be nice to have a goth family pose pack with, also the kids, and maybe her with baby Cassandra, and then pregnant with Alexander, or maybe toddler child Cassandra, I'm not sure, and then her being pregnant with Alexander. And I also like the idea to use the older goth family versions for the older poses when they are younger, basically. This was a pose that I think was inspired by the binoculars, I'm not sure, but basically the bird watching. This is such a random pose, but it's kind of fun. I don't know, I also like these random poses, and also I think I even used the screenshot as a background within, in Blender for this one. Okay, this is actually an old pose that has nothing to do with this, but I used it for a video, and I needed the bridge thingy. So this image isn't new, or this image is new, the pose isn't. The pose is, I think, from last year, but I also like the idea, that they are actually I also have some animations of Sims taking selfies and photos on the bridge, which I really, really like. They turned out so cool. Oh, I like this one. So did I mention? No, I didn't mention this yet. I think, at least not in this video. But this this is, so I posted which comes later. I think the order is a little bit off here. It's not chronologically. Oh, I can't talk anymore. But I made I think the first Chenford. So this is a Chenford post. So based on the Rookie, or a Rookie based pose, whatever. Anyways, so I made one, I think, from the Valentine's Day episodes, and so I did get different requests to make, yeah, hey, can you make this scene? Can you make that scene from this post or from this video? And then I think under some of the other videos there were other requests, and I really like this. This was so fun to get like, hey, could you do this scene? So I really enjoyed it. I really had fun. I wasn't sure which scene was meant. I think someone just commented the episode, so I didn't know what, but I really like this. I think it's a really fun pose because, again, it's very random, and I've never made a pose similar, and I really like having those very unique and random poses. Also, like with Dawn playing the video games in the beginning, like with the game controller or console controller. I think those are just fun, just having like random poses in it here and there. Here you can see the breakup scene, or the breakup. In this case, I have done this for The Sims 3, that I changed the height also to get a bit more height variation in group poses, so that I have taller and shorter Sims. I usually don't do it on The Sims 4. I have them just all have the same height. But this pose wouldn't have worked with him being the same height as well, so I did make him a little bit taller than he actually is. And this pose would actually also work perfectly in the breakup pose pack once I do that. And that's the pose that was the first Gen 4 pose I made. I really like it also with those, and this is also something where I like it actually better with the render, I think, and the blurred out screenshot in the background. I did pose her hand like this and not on his neck like in the scene, because the elbow, I couldn't make it work that well with the elbow. It's just weird, but someone had the request to actually make it look like the scene, so that's not here. There's another render of her, actually. I might come to that later. But yeah, that was also another request, which is very sweet. Could also work perfectly for breakup pose pack. Oh, and that's also, I think I also wanted to make like an animation of the reaction, not of the kiss, although that would also be cool for a custom interaction. Maybe I should note that somewhere. But from the reaction when she's like, when he's suggesting that they should maybe kiss before they go undercover, and have the reaction and this little bit between them as an animation, it could be fun. I think I started working on it and I never finished that. Maybe I should have included that, but I forgot about it because I never finished it. But also very adorable pose. And I think I also... I'm gonna come to that later, but because I added an infant between them in this pose, because I don't even remember why. And this is when completely there are, I think, a few more Gen 4 poses, but this obviously not. So this is also when, not Love Struck, what's the name? Businesses and Hobbies came out, and I wanted to make a few poses. Unfortunately, I could only get this colored cotton candy, which is fine for the pose, but I don't know how to get the other swatches or how to get the other colors exported. But it's sweet, it's so cool. And I also, this comes later because I also have a lollipop pose. But yeah, I also like these individual poses. Again, also like a random pose. I also like, this is just a black background there. But I don't know, it's cool. Here I definitely used the reference. I also like the dynamic of the pose, how she's a little bit tilted to the left. I think her feet could have been a bit closer together, or both a little bit more centered, if that makes sense. But I actually really like this one. I also like the render, it's so fun. I think this looks so much better as a render than it would as a screenshot. And since I only made this pose just to make the pose, or to make a video on this, I think, I didn't need the pose, and so that's why I only used the render and not really had it in game, although it would be fun to have it in game as well at some point for a specific sim. But I don't know which one yet. Oh, it could work for Dawn, maybe. We'll see. This is also an individual pose that I like. And I think here I was even, because this is also a render up, and I think here I was even kind of working and trying things with the shadows, so that because otherwise it would look a little bit odd to have them pose on the ground. If you see the ground but you don't see the shadow, it looks really weird, I think. It's not that bad here, because first of all, there is a shadow, but there's also the shadow of the tree. But I think even if, even if he didn't have his shadow, even with the tree shadow, it would look weird, I think. But I don't know, I should make more individual poses that you can just to have more generic poses or poses that are not meant for specific sim and just random poses that I can then use as a base for other poses. I should make more base poses, basically, what I'm trying to say. Wow. And that's also, I think this was after she was attacked by Craig, and I like the idea that she's actually getting checked out at the hospital. That's Shane, because he's a doctor. He's from the Davis family. And I just have him in the asset browser. So usually when my sims when I make a pose where there's a doctor needed, I usually use him, because I think he's the only sim on the asset browser with that looks like a doctor. I also sometimes use others, especially if it doesn't make sense, if it's him because he's a patient, then I obviously might also use others. But yeah, here you can see her get her hearing checked out. There's also one with the eyes, but later. This is for the Back to Basics series. I think I just needed this as a foreground image for a thumbnail. And so I didn't need this in game. I actually needed this as a clip art. So even without the background, and I think I used the background just for the video, I think. But I needed the pose for a thumbnail, but again, not as a screenshot, because this way I can just overlay it over another image. I don't even know which one I used, to be honest. And here you can see Jane checking her eyes out. Oh, this is just a random image. I might have included it because I probably tweaked the pose, because I was kind of figuring out, maybe now that I sort of figured out how to pose newborns, I might give this a try again, because this might be helpful how to pose with the camera, and how to make selfie poses. Because I think someone asked me if I could make selfie poses, and I'm not used to this, and I think I wanted to figure this out without watching a specific tutorial on that. And so this was just me trying it out, and it looks kind of weird. But I also managed to make a photography pose where a sim takes a photo of another sim and they actually pose, and was really excited that this worked. But yeah, I still need to keep working on that next year. This is actually also one of my favorite renders. It's, I think, before, when a fairy pack was announced but not released yet, and so I like the idea of making like a fairy pose. Even though this is just the costume basically and a resized them, but it's really fun. It's really cool, and because it is a resized them, I could obviously make her into an object. But I don't know, I didn't really need it in game, and I really like how this looks and I think this way I even tweaked the lighting within Blender in the compositor instead of doing it later in, instead of first rendering and then editing the lighting and the image. But I think I even already changed the lighting and the colors and within Blender before rendering it, and adding also the background image. Ah, and that's Kaylin's daughter's first day of school. I think here I also just needed it more like this pose and less as an in-game screenshot. Although it could have also worked, but I think with an in-game screenshot, first of all, I think the skin would have looked, her arms would have looked better as a screenshot probably, but then I would have needed to make the homework, you know, an actual object in game that I could use for the pose, and so this was just easier, and this was for a thumbnail, and this work was the best way to do it. And in the thumbnail, you can also see kids laughing in the hallway there. Oh, that's the other Nordhaven, not Nordhaven, but Businesses and Hobbies post, the Lollipop one, which is also really fun. Oh, and there's another Bella post, Bella posing. I think I even made that before the event was live, because you have already, the objects are already available after the update, even if the event is not live yet, and so I wanted to see if I could actually make it work, or if I could already pose with the milk carton. And I really like the idea of Bella posing with the milk carton, of, you know, with her face on it. This was also like a screenshot render where I needed the render and not the background, but I really like that one, where I just needed a clip art of her for the thumbnail. This one I also really liked. This was one of the, after an update where they added those shirts, or the jacket, and all those two tops. And I really like that, because, I mean, in The Sims, is it The Sims 2 where Dawn and Cassandra are a couple or are dating or engaged or something? I'm not familiar with The Sims 2, as you can tell. But I like the idea, and I think I actually purposefully aged her up because she's a teen, he's a young adult, but I really like how they're just hanging out there, and this is such a fun pose, how they're looking. I don't know, I really like this rendered image of the two of them. Oh, and that's the other newborn picture. That's so cute. This is where I didn't know how to pose newborn, so I used an infant. And this was because of that. I used a render because I could have turned the infant into an object to then use in game, but you can't reset. This is a resized infant, and you can't. Or I don't know how to resize infants in game. I know you can resize toddlers. But this way I could also mess with the proportions a little bit and make the head bigger and, you know, and mess it, you know, tweak it and not have an standard, I don't know how to say that, but not just resize the entire sim, but, you know, tweak the proportions a bit. And I don't know, it was much easier to do this as a render instead of using, you know, exporting or, you know, turning him into an object. Also, this isn't even her child. This is I think I don't think it's her child. I think it's a random infant that I from another family. I think this might be an infant. It might be Casey and Zeke's infant. Only they don't really have a kid yet. But this was one of those test files or test save files, if that makes sense. Kind of like with Dawn and her husband and their 4 kids that they don't really have. It's a similar situation. So it's just a random infant, basically, that has nothing to do with them. Oh, and that's what I also mentioned before, where I had this kiss pose and I just added the infant between them. Also not sure. This might be Caitlin's infant, I think. Not sure. And that's also for a video that I'm working on. I really like this. I think it's fun. It's also a really cool render, I think, with the light and the background. I don't know. I think it's really cool with the purple, pinkish color. And the mic. I don't know. I really like this one. This is a fun pose. And imagine if this was an actual feature. If Sims could actually sit at a bar stool and play the guitar and sing. This would be so cool. Oh, this was when the burglars were introduced, and I wanted to make also first time I was posing an object, an actual object. And kind of like the first step towards posing infants and stuff, because those are also objects. I think infants are a little bit more difficult. Also, I wanted to pose or make a pose of, you know, a bunny pose, you know, of a sim, you know, making a pose of a sim holding a bunny. And this way the bunny obviously also needs to be posed. Haven't done this yet, but I thought when I made this, now that I know how to do this, I could finally make the bunny pose. Still haven't done it, but I think it's a fun pose. Also, I think it's Kaylin's living room bar thing, and Kaylin is a thief herself. She's a criminal herself, so I think she even got robbed herself. This is also one of those individual poses that I really like, and I really should, because I have so many reference images saved. That I could use just to make some base poses that I then can use to tweak and change slightly when I need an actual pose, and just have more of those base poses. I think this didn't turn out quite the way I wanted. It's not quite as cool as a reference. I don't remember the reference, but I think I like the reference a little bit better. But it's still a fun pose. And that's when I put the elbow, because someone asked if I couldn't do the pose as in the show, where she has her elbow or her hand at her neck. And it's fine here because you can't see her elbow. So it's completely fine, but it looks weird. The elbow just looks weird if from that angle and this amount of bending, if that makes sense. But it is a fun, or not a fun pose, but I actually like this render, and especially also with the background. I think and the lighting. I don't know, I like this one. And this one is actually based on, did I also want to make a first date post pack? I don't know, this could also be like a breakup, like a last kiss, like, hey, this isn't working, we want different things, I still love you, I still like you, but this just isn't working, and so this like a last kiss, or it could be like a first kiss, you know, them being intimate, them talking and getting close. I'm drifting off. No, but I think it could be also interesting to have a first date post pack. Oh, and here you can see Bella and Mortimer at their wedding. I think I even made a poll whether she should have a red or a white dress, or maybe a combination of both. And even before making the poll, I already started working on the post, or already made the post, and I think most people were for the red dress, so that worked out well. But it didn't scream wedding, so that's why I added the bouquet, and it looks really cool. It's actually, I don't know, I think it's a cool pose. And I think I even turned it into a portrait, and uploaded it to the gallery so that they actually have a wedding portrait or wedding painting instead of just photos. Why is it sizing down like that? But yeah, that's also for a video. Same like with the sim playing the guitar and singing. This pose, to be fair, it's not quite done yet. And I was also, actually, my plan was, I think, to turn this into an animation. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this. But yeah, I also kind of like this. Especially, it's cool how light those two sims are. And also with the, the shadow in the back, the silhouette there. Although the silhouette isn't that great, to be fair. And I think I already showed this pose, but I like this one. I like the render better than the screenshot. Oh, and I think this might be the last one. And, it's a cute wedding. This looks like a wedding photo. It's a cute one. And I might even use this. This is actually one that I could use in the future again. I think it's a cute wedding photo. Or a cute couple photo in general. Take away the bouquet and it could be a normal couple photo. And yeah, that's the end. Wow, that's long. I did count all the poses. I mean, if you're still here, if you're still watching and hearing me ramble about things that you're not interested because you don't know those Sims probably, or most likely you have no idea who this is, so this might not be interested. But let me know if you're still watching. I've said it a couple of times because I'd be surprised if someone watched this long. But yeah. I don't know why I didn't think that this was. It didn't occur to me that the video would be so long, even though before I started before I started making the video, I counted how many poses there are, and I should have figured as much. By the way, the thing is, I count this as one pose, even though it's made out of multiple individual poses, just that you know how I'm counting these. And there are also like smaller group poses within a big pose, but I counting a pose as they are meant to. I hope this makes sense. But if I make a group pose, I count that as one. I hope that makes sense. So there are obviously way more poses than this, and also way more smaller group poses than that. But poses like these group poses, if I count this, or like screenshots, I don't know how to explain it better. So I made like 207 poses like these. Obviously, as I try to explain, I don't know if I'm explaining it well. I might have missed some. Maybe I have miscounted. I don't know, but just I think there might be 207 if I didn't miscount or forgot any that I couldn't find, or that I just forgot about or somewhere else. But I also counted the individual poses, so every single sim, and obviously I reused some. For some poses I didn't count the pets, just because for some I did, for some I didn't, because I didn't always make the pose. I also sometimes just used the in-game poses or in-game animations for them, so I didn't even import the pets into Blender. I just within the game I used the poses that are already in there, and the animations. So I didn't count all of them, but some. So I made 526 individual poses this year. So really every single sim, and some pets, but mostly sims, obviously. So quite a lot, and that's why the video is so long. And because it's so long, I don't know if I'm gonna edit it or just upload it like it is. I might just upload it with all the rambling. And yeah, this is a lot, but I kind of want to see if I can make more next year, we'll see. And maybe even more individual ones. And yeah, I'm just gonna end this here. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know, really long. My throat is hurting right now. I talked way too long and didn't drink anything. But yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and I wish you a happy new year if you're watching this around this time, or around this time basically. Bye. Imagine if it stopped recording at some point here. No, it's still 2 hours and 9 minutes. Wow.